What happens when a small West African nation stands up to one of the world's most powerful institutions? When a revolutionary leader tells the United Nations itself, "Pack your bags, it's time to go." My people, this is not fiction. This is not a movie. This is the reality unfolding right now in Burkina Faso, where Captain Ibrahim Traoré has expelled the UN's top official after a damning report accused his government of committing grave violations against children in armed conflict. But here's the real story. Is this about silencing criticism and shutting the world out? Or is this about Africa finally standing tall, reclaiming sovereignty, and demanding respect on the global stage? Before deep dive into the story and reason behind all this, please subscribe to my channel and in comment box tell us from where you are watching our video. On Monday, Burkina Faso's government stunned the world with a bold declaration. United Nations Regional Coordinator Carol Flores-Marexniak was no longer welcome. She was declared persona non grata and given her marching orders. Why? It all comes down to a report titled Children and Armed Conflict in Burkina Faso. Published by the United Nations, the report documented over 2,400 grave violations against more than 2,200 children. We're talking about forced recruitment of child soldiers, sexual violence, and attacks on schools and hospitals. The finger was pointed not only at extremist groups linked to ISIS and Al-Qaeda, but also at local defense groups aligned with the state. For the United Nations, this was accountability. For the government in Ouagadougou, it was humiliation. Officials blasted the findings as one-sided, politically motivated, and lacking proper consultation. They insisted they were never shown the evidence, never invited into the process, and never given the chance to respond before their country's name was tarnished on the world stage. To critics, the expulsion looked like a red flag, a government silencing its accusers, rejecting oversight, and slamming the door on transparency. What are they trying to hide? Skeptics asked. But to supporters, the move was heroic, a sovereign nation defending its dignity. In their eyes, Traoré wasn't running from the truth. He was rejecting a biased narrative designed to weaken his government's legitimacy at a critical moment in history. And for Burkinabe people, this wasn't just politics. This was war. Not only a war against insurgents who have terrorized villages for more than a decade, but also a war over storytelling. Because narrative is power. History has shown that when international institutions paint an African leader as dangerous, destabilizing, or corrupt, the consequences can be fatal. Let's zoom out. This is not the first time African leaders have clashed with global institutions. Think of Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana, Patrice Lumumba in Congo, Thomas Sankara right here in Burkina Faso, or Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Each in their own way defied Western dominance. Each tried to chart an independent course. And what happened? They were branded radicals. Many were overthrown. Some were assassinated. So when Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a young revolutionary who has promised to restore dignity and self-reliance, says the UN is biased, his supporters see echoes of that same history. To them, this is not defiance. This is correction. Of course, the United Nations tells a different story. Spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric expressed regret, reminding Burkina Faso that the UN enjoys diplomatic immunity and its staff have the right to remain in the country. And let's not forget Carol Flores-Marexniak herself. With more than 20 years of experience in conflict zones from Chad to Papua New Guinea, she was no stranger to the harsh realities of humanitarian work. But sovereignty is not a slogan, it's a principle. Traoré's government argues that principle was violated. If the US can expel a diplomat for being offensive, why can't Burkina Faso expel a UN official who undermines its image without proof? Supporters say the country is fighting a brutal insurgency while also building roads, expanding healthcare, and investing in agriculture. In the middle of such change, a damaging report isn't just unfair, it's destabilizing. And that's the real question. Should outsiders dictate the narrative of a nation fighting for survival? Or should that nation write its own story, even if it means rejecting international watchdogs? This moment, however, is bigger than one UN official. Across the Sahel, governments in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are pushing back against what they see as neo-colonial interference. They're rejecting Western partnerships, forging new alliances, and rewriting the rules. Yet here lies the contradiction. African states often turn back to the same institutions they criticize, for peacekeepers, aid, or election monitors. Can Africa have it both ways? Or is it finally time to build the capacity to face these challenges on its own? Call to action. What do you think? Was Burkina Faso right to show the UN the door? Or could this move backfire on its most vulnerable citizens? Should Africa keep relying on Western institutions, or is it time to build the muscle to solve our problems, our way? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this breakdown spoke to you, hit like, share it, and subscribe for more deep dives into stories shaping our world. Because this isn't just news, it's history in the making.